What's going on, everybody? Good to see you here. Back recording the journey one paintbrush at a time. I should say one paint stroke at a time. Hopefully you can hear me good. The music and everything. Gonna paint for an hour. It's already late. Wanted to get to it earlier, but I couldn't. So, working on Blackreach here still. Same painting. Steven Dudash, what's up, dude? I'm having so much fun watching you paint, but even more fun watching your talent develop into something quite amazing. Bravo, my man. Keep up the good work. Thank you, brother. I think of you often. I hope you're doing well. And I'll always cherish the times the shows we play together and the jams we've had. And you're a monster player, man. And hopefully there'll be more someday. But those gigs you play, the times at the filling station, man, epic. So many epic moments. But thank you for the kind words, man. They really go a long way. It's honestly my biggest form of payment in my art career is words like that, so. So I just got to wet up my palette here. My palette cam's working fine. So Saturday I'm gonna be trying something interesting. It's one of those things where it could fail or work really well and be a good time. So there's a plein air like get together competition thing with the Fairview Arts community. And I signed up, so I'm gonna be going there. I think it's from 8:30 a.m. to about 2 for painting, and then there's gonna be the winners announced, and then they're gonna be selling them too. But my plan is to try and live stream it. Thought that'd be pretty fun. So it won't be the traditional experience where I have music and a good microphone. And I'll actually have poor capability of like looking at chat too, but my phone does let me live stream on my phone, so I'm gonna go get myself a power bank for my phone and try to live stream the whole event. Hang out, come bring you with me. That should be interesting. Feel free to join the Discord, and also check out the website, planetjokum.com. There's prints available of all the recent paintings, including the last one, which is Netch River. So this is Blackreach. This is from the Elder Scrolls universe. And we're going for like straight up fan art, which I'm really enjoying, to be honest. The older I get and the more I go down the wormhole in my art career, I just start painting the things you like more. It's always like this invisible standard, you gotta be able to draw everything, but it's a hard battle to fight when you don't like drawing everything. And I think when I first started out, my mom, she drew a lot of surrealism. That was like probably my first influence, and so I don't know why that translated in my brain to like fantasy worlds, but that's kind of where it took me. Ever since then, I've been obsessed with creating worlds. Hopefully we get a smooth stream tonight without any disconnection. For those of you who've been watching me for years, you know that there's those tragic nights where my internet just doesn't want to cooperate. And expect the music to be all over the place with volume levels here, because I am paying for the copyright-free music again. And so it's just a big mix of things I have this like track list of like 10 hours of music I've collected. But there's a lot of cheese in there, believe it or not. only been using 4 brushes for this painting. I find less is more sometimes. More simple, but using my round, chisel blender, flat, short round. That's a number 10, and then the wash brush. This is watercolor, but it's been my recent obsession, I should say. Not recent, it's been for a while now. Watercolor and gouache, those two, man. We'll be using both on this. I have a whole gouache set over here off to the left that I grabbed from when we need it. It's the same brand, Winsor & Newton, and I swear they go better together just because they're the same brand. Must be using similar mediums. But I like to hop between the two. Try to get most of it done with the watercolor if I can. Use the gouache for touch-ups and more difficult value situations. But, yeah. Let's start my recording, and here's where the computer usually craps out, so let's hope. Alright. So I want to paint in my big shapes here. And I think the next big shape is going to be the silhouette situation. Because it's light, dark light. Like sections of the painting wise. So let's get mixing. Now, because this is a watercolor gouache medium, it's very nice when you've done all the work, find all your colors, and you don't have to remix them. Just add water and pick up where you left off. On the downside, your paintings are less durable. You gotta protect them a little bit more when you're displaying them or storing them, but to me, that's a happy trade-off. Now, I think this was the color I was mixing. That's the dwarven stuff. Dwarven stuff being like this ruin here. So basically this is an underground cave in the game. Glowing mushrooms and glowing geodes and everything, so we're gonna have to make everything really dark around these sources of light. If anything, the background is a little bit lighter. Probably should do that first. Avoiding this. I believe I was using cyan, whatever you want to call it. Cyan, wherever you want the accent. Probably a little Prussian blue. Oh, that's actually Payne Gray, my apologies. Prussian blue would actually be a better choice. It has a very similar hue to cyan, just darker. You can get a lot of similar things with the two. I think just cyan, it's nicer for staying light in certain situations. And I'm mixing Payne's Gray with this Prussian blue. And maybe like the slightest bit of lemon yellow. Because there's just the slightest bit of green tint here. Basically just sliding around the primaries. What's happening here? Now I'm gonna make more, because I have a feeling I'm gonna run out Like almost so it's not even green. It's almost just like knowing there's yellow in there. The brain will take it the rest of the way. So I'm gonna wash right over these two, and then they're darker, so then I can just come back and do it again. I've made it more black and less blue here, but the farther we go out into this cave, we want more of that blue to take over. There's a little cobalt in there. Or actually, that's ultramarine, I lied. That's cobalt. I used to have a really complicated palette. I might go back to it. I can show you it here. I've experimented with a lot of different palettes, but this one was my old one. And has way more colors in it. Basically, what I did was I took out all these middles, like orange, the sienna, the burnt sienna, green, the pre-mixed greens, and I just left the primaries. And I like how it works out better. So I would prefer to mix this color and get my own shade of it. I mean, there are situations that the color pigment purists will argue that you can't get certain hues with mixing primaries, and that's very true. But I'm going for vibes here, not going for scientific perfection. So I gotta be careful not to rub off. So there's masking here on this. These are blue geodes, and basically the whole point is you'll see once I put the dark wash over this, you'll see how it's hydrophobic. Leaves it behind. But palette's actually a little bit on a weird hill to the left here. I think I'm gonna tilt it towards me more. Dry my brush out. Fine line of how much water you have in your brush, let me tell you. See how this does. At a certain point, you just gotta touch the paper. And you know what? I'm gonna do this line here. I'm gonna do this section because it's actually even a little lighter. And you can see how the masking is. I'm just gonna leave that yellow behind, as well as this mushroom. I think I might have masked the mushroom, I can't tell. But I'd rather not guess and ruin it. Just get right up to that yellow and we'll worry about the transition of that later on. That's another good thing about reactivatable mediums is you can blend stuff at any point in the process. And then we want this to come down here. I'm gonna leave a little room for there to be an aura. If anything, while it's wet, maybe I can quickly grab this color. Toss it down, I had a little bit left. But I love it. Don't gotta remix it. Just bring it up to this blue while it's still wet and create that nice feather that I'm looking for. Feathering the edges. Alright, back to the wash brush. Pretty happy with that. Now we need to go a shade darker. Think about this wash brush too. It's very easy to have too much water in it because it's designed to hold a lot of water. So definitely keep that in mind. Payne's gray, I would say it leans a little bit more purple, but what's nice about it is if you're darkening a blue, it helps it to stay blue. And it's darker than ultramarine and it's darker than Prussian. So if you want a darker Prussian blue, you can mix some Payne's with it to keep it more saturated, I find. Black kind of sucks all the life out of it. And Payne's gray keeps the blue, but also darkens it. So if you're lightening something, you want to pick a color that has the shared properties. So if you want to lighten an orange, you want to like lighten it with a lighter orange, believe it or not. Not just white. That was like my amateur days, is just thinking white is how you lighten stuff. And it is. But you'll see it just sucks the color right out of it. And that's where you start getting into all the reasons they create all these different pigments, because there's certain pigments that are come out really light naturally and they hold their color. That'd be a tad blue. I'm gonna throw in a hair of black. And let's see what this does. I think we're dry enough on this layer. Just don't want to touch it too much. And when I come from the top, wash down. This depends on the angle of your table. My table is probably on like a 15-degree angle, and so the water tends to run down. And I like that. And quickly, so no edges happen, you just drag, drag. And for some reason, the faster you move. And actually, I'm gonna combine these. Stay moving. It's part of this hill. Paint. Just take your time on edges. Don't rush them. And we'll come from the top one more time here. Bring it down. And I'm going to allow some of these lines here to stay. And we have our new kitty friend here. I was wondering when this would happen. Hello, Dova. We named her after the dragon language in Skyrim. She's our new family member, and she's a sweet little kitty. Oh, good girl. Sat down in the little kitty bed I have when I'm gaming. I kind of want to bring a little bit of this dark blue into this brown here. Okay. I also have an art show coming up. Art in the Park, Kingston Springs. If I get accepted. Sending in the app. I sent in the application today. This is super dark. Here. And grab enough pigment. It's just gotta be darker than stuff behind it. And I'm ignoring some of the pencil lines. Sometimes I'll do that. Yeah, that's the shade darker I was looking for. And going to remove a little bit here. So what you can do is you can dry your brush out, keep it a little bit wet, and pick up some paint. That's the cool part about watercolor. You can pick it up and put it down. I just want some of this light to carry behind that structure. I think I'll use my short round for this. Grab a little of my dwarven yellow color and put it in here. I keep saying dwarven yellow because it's like the color of the metal they use. Hey Mike, good to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Haven't seen your post in forever. Yeah, sorry. I go on little hiatuses sometimes. But glad I caught you tonight, man. We're doing some fan art from a video game here, but mainly just here to record the journey. Upload you all the time lapse later. Something like that. Seems like it's worth posting to Facebook. Seems to be a crowd there that doesn't go to Twitch or YouTube. I guess multi-streaming does pay off. I gotta grab a piece of paper towel really quick. Hey, don't back. Right back. Here you go, little kitty. Here, I want to show you guys the new kitty. Say hi, Dova. Oh, there we go. Yeah, here, look. Right here. Isn't she sweet? She's still a tiny kitty. So I got her here on her little pumpkin bed for our game stream. She loves hanging out. Welcome to the world. Possibly the sweetest kitty ever. I changed my mind on the thing here, but I can just make more of this. Dwarven. No, Dwemer are the elves that were captured by the Dwarven. That's what it was. I gotta get that right. A little bit of Prussian blue. I don't remember how I mixed the color. You can get there one way or another. Definitely more yellow than it is orange. It's almost gold, but kind of bronze. Ooh, that touch of cobalt actually did what I was looking for. Okay, so somewhere around there. It's gonna be a bit more blue though. Or I guess green, because it's fun to watch colors just chemically react. I think the cobalt isn't doing it justice though. You know what? I think the cyan is actually... Yeah, that's what it is. See, there you go. It's worth experimenting. Start my recording again. Be a shorty tonight. I just wanted to get back at it before it went too long. There we go. Picturing like another structure kind of behind this, but I don't know. I might not keep it. Feel cute might delete. It's funny too, now that there's like 2 generations of internet. It's where like I was the first generation of the internet, or maybe there was one more before me. But I mean like when it started getting good, you know? It's like all the terms and memes and jokes and stuff that were out in those times, it's like they're already outdated. Like, do any of you in chat know what I mean when I say E-bombs world, you know? Like stuff like that. Being such a good kitty right now. Such a good girl. I was worried that she'd be walking all over my painting the whole time. these structures. I'm gonna mix another batch of this dark blue. Oops, I grabbed a chunk of it. Beware of that. It can make your colors a little too pure sometimes. I don't get too concerned with how much my colors are mixing on the palette, like in here, the wells. I guess I do if it comes to the yellows, because they're so bright that it's easy to contaminate them. But you can see how that masking worked really well, huh? We're gonna have to shape those up, and after that dries, I'll show you what you do. Try to make everything one shape. Realized my lighting went down a little bit. Here we are. Trying to flip. Maybe we can throw the slightest hair of yellow in this, because it's not the rock, it's the Dwemer or Dwarven structures, so there is going to be a little bit of that yellow coming through, or that greenish tint. And I just hope this is dry enough. Let's go for it. And here's where on these edges we want to really take our time. I'm considering this a wash. There's a ballista on top of this that I will bring out with the gouache. Keep moving down. I'm gonna leave that lighter rock in the background there. Liked how it looked. I love this short round brush for like washing smaller areas, if that makes sense. Sometimes that big old mop brush can be a little fat. And the key to not getting streaks is just using enough water. And this is definitely there. Definitely gonna be one of those paintings I have to work out the deets on. And maybe a little darker there. Hey there. Look at Dover being such a good girl.
I see. Has she invaded?
No, she came right up on the pumpkin bed and is just hanging out.
Are you perfect?
She's being a perfect cat right now.
Have you shown the street how perfect she is?
I did. I
Okay.
showed everybody how cute and perfect.
She's cute and perfect.
Yeah, like it's your pretty little dog. You're beautiful.
Yeah, we said she has little socks
Perfect socks.
because she's a tuxedo, and yeah, she got these little socks on the end of her.
Ankle socks in the front and knee highs in the back.
Yeah, tall socks in the back. This actually has to be darker, so not by much. I'm gonna get out the trusty hair dryer here. Speed the process along. It's definitely a great tool. You can. There is a danger of speed drying too fast, to where you kind of want the water to work itself out a little bit, let the colors merge a little bit longer. And what can happen, you can kind of like, it's almost like freeze drying or like cut heat, not cold, but you can almost like flash freeze the mingling of the paint, which could like ruin a feather, for example. Pause on this recording here while I plug in this thing. Did my hand. I gotta turn the light off for a sec. Hopefully I just didn't unplug something. Okay, good. Ah. It's not working. Oh well, I'll just keep going like this. Must not be enough juice coming through the cable. Because what you gotta do is you gotta wait for one layer to be completely dry to be safe going over it. Unless you're quick. Let me see here. Got all the tries I have right there. And this will dry a little bit lighter than it looks. Just gonna go over what I did there. There's actually these sweeping fault lines through the rock. So in this case, it's beneficial to actually purposefully put lines. Like, drag that through. Make it a little more rocky though. This is something, this light spot behind here is like something in the painting, but I'm making a choice to take it out. This is like the medium dry phase of the wash. You know, you can kind of come back in and add some more rock texture to it. Something like that. And I'm going to extend it here. It's going to be fun to come in with the gouache on this one. And adding water to my same color to lighten it. Gonna give this area another one too. You see how the water falls down my paper? That's purposeful. A good thing. And the key to avoiding those like pigment puddles is to just move quick. I think maybe that's what's nerve-wracking about watercolor to a lot of people, is it's time sensitive. Unlike acrylic, you can just take your sweet old time. It's kind of like a paint by number, you know? I could have made this painting process like less complicated by not doing masking and just like bringing out the gouache, but I forget what I said in the earlier stream, but I just wanted to experiment with the masking. I'm new to it. I normally just figure out how to paint the negative space. However, there are certain situations where the negative space is just so much easier to do with the masking to where it's not practical. So, snowstorm, for example, snowflakes, blizzard at night, watercolor. If you're doing acrylic, you know, you could just paint the darks and then flick the snowdrops or snowflakes onto the paper afterwards, right over the dark, but not with watercolor. Also, the thing with gouache and watercolor is they have a slightly different look when they dry. One's a little bit more opaque and chalky looking, and the other one's a little bit more smooth and soft looking. So those texture differences can kind of be jarring sometimes, so you have to be careful. I usually add mostly the gouache in the foreground for that reason. It's very good with foreground details. It really brings them forward because they're like really opaque. And then getting more and more watercolor as the background goes out for that softness. So I'm kind of just waiting for it to dry here. I think what I can do is just work on these mushrooms in the meantime. I'm probably not going to even be able to get back to this here. because it has to completely dry, and watercolor can trick you into thinking it's completely dry, and it's not. Learned that lesson many times. You're just perfect little kitty. We're guessing she's about 4 months old at the most. Look at her chilling. No, I don't want to mess the camera. I'll show you in a second. So, I'm gonna grab here. Let's get the mushy colors back. Try to keep the cyan glow in these. Just flood this with some cyan. And then I'm gonna use lemon yellow for the greens because it's already a cool yellow. Like I was saying before, when you're mixing colors, darkening or lightening them, it's best to pick the ones that share properties within the primaries. And I don't want this to be too saturated, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of Payne's Gray. Dull it down a little bit. A little more Payne's Gray down here in the corner, darker. Russian blue, Payne's Gray, a little black. Sometimes it's beneficial to mix the color, dry out your brush a little bit, and then soak up the paint with your dry brush. I find sometimes that there's too much leftover water in the brush, and it can change your color yet again. I'm just gonna draw in these stems. I'm gonna keep little pieces behind, like that. What's so cool about watercolor is wherever the paper is dry, it doesn't go, which I find so neat. And I could probably come down a little wider. You know what? I'm not gonna mess with it. Keep it out of this. And this sort of fades into the grass here, so. You grab a little bit of lemon yellow right out of the pan. Toss it in here and there. Draw some negative space for the grass. Continue with our color. And this sort of goes up onto the bottom of the mushroom. I remember this got confusing here. Poor design on my part, but I'm just gonna commit to it and do better next time. Probably change it up with gouache. Basically, this tentacle hanging down from the mushroom crossed over the stem and just made it look confusing in the pencil drawing. It's weird because this is not how light would really look. I think it's the hardest part about this painting. Everything's like simulated and artificial, so the stem goes behind the grass there. Missing a stem. No. But this one's gonna be darker. Now that I see it dry. If it was that thick. It's gonna be that thick coming out from behind that mushroom, because what happens is you don't follow that rule and it starts looking like it's part of another mushroom. Something I learned drawing a lot of trees. You gotta like, there's like a fractally nature. And there's highlights on these stems, but I can come back with the gouache later and put those on. To me, what I loved about acrylic, that was my first paint that I started out with, is the ability to work in both directions, dark to light. I discovered this medium. I loved how it works so much, but it doesn't work either direction. However, combine the gouache and the watercolor, you can. So there'll be people going back and forth online, like, oh, it's cheating, you know, to use gouache. Like, it's not cheating. However you get the final result, and the most enjoyable way to you, is exactly how it should be done. Like all these people like feeling down on themselves because they had to pencil it out first. It's like, stop that shit. Like people look at Kim Jong-gi and be like, yeah, but what about him? And be like, well, that was his style, first of all. And he was a freak. Freak of nature. But he just drew a lot. And he really liked brush pens. And so like it created this wave of people that are trying to paint with brush pens and, you know, trying to be like him, but I think it's worth learning from him. Of course, learn from your masters. But then to get caught up in like, oh, I didn't do the whole thing with a brush pen without planning it. It's like, that can kind of bring you down a wormhole. It's interesting, you guys are actually seeing a darker version. See here. There we go. I gotta like slowly adjust the exposure throughout the stream because the sun goes down and I don't get that light through the window. So. Coming on 10 minutes left here. I think it's important for every artist to just make sure you make yourself sit down, just even if it's one brush stroke. I can't tell you how many times I've regretted not working on my art. It just doesn't feel good. It's better to just force yourself to sit down and do a little brush stroke. It's easy to get attached to like, oh, I don't have a whole 8 hours or I don't have a whole day to do it. But again, since the emphasis is in the wrong area there. And I've gone through that many times in my head, believe me or not. It's really easy to beat yourself up as an artist because it can feel so impossible to make a living off of it. Then it makes you feel bad, and then you start comparing yourself to other people. Just don't do that. Just paint and have fun. There's a lot of different approaches to watercolor. I like to just kind of treat it like acrylic and try to draw out my shapes good. Actually, I don't like to do it one particular way, to be honest. I like all the tricks. And I like to try my hand out at all the tricks. If I don't like one, I discard it. I like when I keep it. But if I like one and keep it, it doesn't push out other ones that I like. Doesn't replace. It's funny because like the way these tentacles are hanging off the mushroom in the game, it's like they're so stiff. "2011 graphics, guys. Gotta give it a break." So here's where the color gets a little dirtier. Just gonna grab a little bit of Payne's Gray. It's actually perfect. Just gonna go with that. And we don't want this to be as dark as the wall behind it, so being wary of that. And this part of the mushroom is glowing. It's kind of weird. It's just like little parts of the mushroom are glowing. It's not the whole mushroom. They look very much like the way they're glowing looks like what do you call them? Like the glow sticks, the ones you snap. Kind of the vibe they give me. I'm gonna have to not copy this exactly though, because it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to bring out the glowing. More than it's brought out. And it's like, see, I'm trying to dodge this little tentacle here. Keep the white behind. That's something, you know, so you can just come back with gouache later. But if you're a watercolor purist, then you gotta try to draw around it, right? Always remember to change your colors here and there. It's very easy to just get one color, you're like, ooh, I like it, and then just put it on the whole thing, and then suddenly everything looks the same. There's all these little like slaps on the wrist you gotta give yourself. And just be disciplined while you paint. Get better results. And I'm gonna go really saturated on another couple spots here. Oh, that wasn't that saturated, was it? There you go. I say I'm working digitally for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. They definitely get some of the brushes, like the effects close. They're definitely not how they are in real life, but it's close. There had to be a guy that just sat there with a watercolor brush and was like, alright, this is what it looks like when I have this much water and this much water. So you gotta give credit to the guys who did the work to like create all the samples and stuff that we just like take for granted. It's a lot of work. Like, when you're making custom assets from scratch, that stuff is a lot of work. But nowadays, it's been made so many times that, like for example, if I was making a video game character, 3D modeling a warrior, and I wanted to give him a sword and a shield, you don't need to, like, unless you want to. But the thing is, in a game development environment, things move fast and they want things done. And so you just go and there's already a humanoid body, you just get that, you slap a rig on it, animate it, get a generic sword and shield that's already modeled, you bring it into the program, you reduce the polygons, change the sword around a little bit, add your touch to it, and boom, you're done. But the guys who had to do the work to make those assets for us to use, woof, hours. Playing with freaking shader graphs and can be brain melting. This mushroom is very green here. I like it though. You can get those super emerald, brilliant greens by using cyan and lemon yellow, without any contaminants, of course. Add a little water. This is the fun part. For me, honestly, once you get the whole thing drawn in, it's just coloring it in now. Obviously, thoughtfully coloring it in. Don't mind how green that is. It's not actually that green. Bring some more blue in it. I like how it looks. So I'm gonna bring this dark color here, meet it up with the green I just made. Clean my brush. I use sponges to dry my brush. I used to do it with paper towels, but I was just ended up using too many paper towels. Felt wasteful. Paper towel still is the king of like drying your brush the fastest, but yeah, gotta save the trees. A little edge here. Look at that. You see how that just ran down? That's so cool. I love that. Look at that. It's just... didn't do it as much there. Sometimes you get those little reactions of watercolor. You know, that's it. I think that's what's really fun about it. Is like the paint is more alive. Like gravity and hydrodynamics are you're working with now, rather than a really thick paint that you just put down and it stays, doesn't move, doesn't mix. Watercolor, it's very alive. You're working with like literal forces of nature, and to me, that's really fun. And at first it's scary and it never does what you want, and it's messy and it's easy to use too much water. But once you get the hours in, there's so many effects that in order to get them in acrylic, you'd have to really paint them to where watercolor, you set up a couple variables, add the paint, put it on a certain way, have the edges touch, and it just literally, like, right before your eyes just merges and feathers perfectly, and you're just like, ah, it's so good. Like, otherwise I would have to get out my blender brush, get the perfect amount of paint on there, you know, keep my paint wet so it doesn't dry, and then blend. It's just like way more steps. So this is like little 9x12, little 7x10 pieces of paper. My paintings are usually small because I don't have a lot of workspace, but I also just enjoy pumping out more paintings than that. So let's see, get a little more of this dark color here. I really love drawing environments. Like, I really get immersed in them. I think it's my true calling. My end game is primarily landscape art, but because I love drawing everything, I will end up trying everything. But I think where I find the most joy explorationally is in environment art. Maybe it's because there's not as many rules, but there are. There's actually its own set of rules. That's not quite accurate for me to say. But every once in a while I want to draw a warrior or a fight scene or animals, items, armor, buildings, cities. I like it all. I'm working to get more characters this next decade of my life, 30 to 40. I want to get more living things in my painting. So we have or maybe I should say like humanoids, right? Because plants are living. But like humanoids, animals, creatures, mechs. So in this one we're doing a mech. He's standing right here. He's penciled out, but he's gonna be a last touch, or towards the last steps of the painting. Weird because like the material that they put on this mushroom in the 3D program makes it so they used like, trying to think of the word, I can't think of it right now. Is it translucence? There's like emission and translucence for like the type of light that comes out of a material, and I think it's like a mixture of emission and translucence. When you combine those two, it makes it look like it's lit up, but not quite. It's kind of weird. So, and they probably rolled the dice when, like, in the shader graph when they were making these mushrooms, so that it's sort of like procedurally generated the texture, which is a good method for natural look. But because of that, there's like these single strands in these mushroom gills, whatever you want to call them, that are glowing. almost like sometimes you can remove paint while adding another color. With another experiment. I don't know if that's like a proven technique. So like for example, I wanted to take some paint off there, but I wanted it to be bright blue. So instead of just like taking water, removing it, then getting blue, I just take like a very diluted blue with water and erase it with that, and like a little bit of the blue gets left behind, just enough, which I like. Yeah, this one's gonna be a challenge to wrap up. The values are so tight that I'll have to rely on hue to bring things out. And that's definitely one of the more advanced things in painting. It takes a lot of experimenting to wrap your head around. So like, what I mean by hue, so like a lot of the times, clouds are a good example. So clouds. The rules for when painting clouds correctly, when they're followed right, you'll notice that the values are very close in a cloud. So, and the farther that the cloud is in the distance, the closer the values get. And the values being like, if you broke a cloud down into one single light and one single dark, the dark being the underneath part of the cloud that's kind of flat, and then the light being the above part, those are actually very close in value. What happens is when you bring that dark color underneath the cloud too close to the value of the ground, your cloud and the ground kind of, it ends up not looking right. Like your clouds ends up kind of looking kind of like too solid. That's a way to put it. But what masterful artists will do is they, instead of, so as the cloud goes way out into the distance, it'll pick up more and more color of the sky. And you can get a perfectly convincing cloud by just picking one hue. Say like, just cyan, and you paint a cloud with just cyan, and do progressively darker shades of cyan until you're darkest on the cloud. What they'll do is they'll make the shadow color a different hue. But the same value. So basically, that very small value discrepancy stays the same, but the hue is different also on the shadow. So it's another dimension you're bringing into of contrast. So like contrast is not just darker light. It's also like hue differences, you know? And like you could go a step further and make it even more complicated and say, okay, like I'm gonna make my clouds have a complementary color theme. So like you do like cyan top of the cloud, and then make the shadow under the cloud kind of like magenta, very subtly, and that would actually represent kind of like what Arizona clouds look like, because all the sand and desert are so red out in Arizona. The shadows of the clouds end up being red, but then you still have the blue sky above the clouds having the blue. So you have a complementary color theme on top of the different hue changes, on top of the value. Now you have three dimensions that are separating the bottom part of the cloud from the top part of the cloud. It's just stuff like that that goes a long way. When you start incorporating like every single technique like that, is when I started getting results, or when you'll start getting results, believe me. And it's something I'm still playing with every day and trying to get better at. It's just like the more things you're aware of, right? Just moving that edge a little. Isn't that great? Just go back with a little water and move it around. This painting's been sitting here for a week and a half. Doesn't matter. It's awesome. Well, there we are. Went over 20 minutes. gonna call it there for today. I really appreciate y'all hopping in. Steven Dudash, it was great to see you here, brother. Hope you have a wonderful night. I appreciate your kind words. Good to see you, Michael Hayes. And I hope you're still playing guitar and having a good time in your band. I hope everything's well. I'll never forget the crazy journey we went on with Billy Lord. Oh man. But anyway, or not Billy Lord. Sorry, when we were playing around with you, I mixed the two up. But have a great night, everybody. I appreciate you watching. The last couple weeks I brought in the idea of doing it every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm gonna change that again after feeling that out for a couple weeks to just stream as much as I can whenever I have the time. And I think I'll ultimately get more streams out that way, even though it's at the sacrifice of helping you know when I'm streaming. But join the Discord. Type !Discord in the chat, which I will do for you now. It will give you the link. I always go to the Discord and let, like, the people in the Discord are the first people to know when I'm streaming, if I disconnected, what happened, etc, etc. So it's a good place to go. For some reason the didn't show up on Twitch. Let me check that. I have. We'll do it now on Twitch. Facebook, I don't think it lets me do commands, but that's the command ! And we usually do other commands. I can show you how to do them when I have them. Should work. Oh, why did it turn off again? Let me see. Actually good I worked this out. There it is. And so you click that link and I'll just copy this to the Facebook. And you join that. Should be in the comment section on Facebook now. Again, you'll be the first to know everything. I send there first before I post. Kind of like the private community. We also have a whole section for sharing things. So have the announcements tab. You'll see these categories on the side. Works in progress. We have people sharing their works in progress, completed work. I tried a little portrait recently. That was an interesting experiment. General chat, just for hanging out. Photography. Steph just went on a vacation recently. Share it all, just, you know, more general. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Me and Dovahkiin here. Wish you a good night. See you next time.